Every day you skip learning. You choose comfort over growth. You choose to remain the same while others evolve in silence. True strength doesn't come from muscle. It comes from mastering your mind. Educate yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. And don't leave early. The final message is the one that will shift your entire path. When we speak of this word, education, what is the first image that arises in the mind? For many, it is a formal setting, a building, a classroom, a teacher at the front, rows of students listening. Or perhaps it is the image of a university, a degree, a certificate that proves a certain level of knowledge has been acquired. This is one understanding of education, and it has its place. It provides us with skills, with information to navigate the structures of our society. But it is a very narrow definition. It is an external process focused on accumulating facts and concepts that exist outside of ourselves. The journey we are discussing today, the path to unlocking your true potential, requires a much deeper, much more intimate understanding of what it means to educate yourself. True education is not merely about addition, about pouring more and more information into a vessel that we call the mind. If the vessel itself is not understood, if it is cracked or unstable, what use is all the water we pour into it? It will simply leak away or the vessel will break. The most profound education is a process of subtraction, of refinement, of turning the gaze inward. It begins with the fundamental question: who is the one that is learning? What is the nature of this mind that seeks knowledge? What are the patterns, the habits, the automatic reactions that govern my existence? To educate yourself in this deeper sense is to become a student of your own operating system. It is the practice of self-discovery. This is a critical distinction. Society often rewards us for what we know about the external world, about mathematics, history, science, or finance, but it rarely encourages us to learn about the internal world. Yet, which world do you inhabit every single moment of your life? You live inside your mind, inside your body. All of your experiences, all of your joys, your sorrows, your fears, and your aspirations are filtered through this internal landscape. If this landscape is unmapped, if it is filled with fog and unseen obstacles, how can you ever hope to navigate it effectively? How can you hope to build anything of lasting value, either for yourself or for others, if the foundation, your own self, is a mystery to you? Therefore, the first step in this true education is to redefine its purpose. The goal is not to become a walking encyclopedia filled with trivia and disconnected facts. The goal is to cultivate wisdom, and wisdom is not the same as knowledge. Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. Wisdom is the application of knowledge in a way that is skillful, that is compassionate, that is aligned with a deeper truth. It is embodied understanding. It is something that permeates your entire being, not just the intellectual part of your brain. This kind of wisdom cannot be found in a textbook alone. It is cultivated through observation, through reflection, and through a courageous willingness to look at ourselves with honesty. So, I invite you to broaden your perspective. See education not as a finite period in your youth, but as a lifelong, continuous process of becoming more acquainted with yourself. It is the most important subject you will ever study. It is the prerequisite for everything else. Because when you begin to understand the mechanics of your own mind, when you see the triggers for your anger or the roots of your anxiety, you are no longer a slave to them. You gain the ability to choose your response. This is freedom. This is the beginning of unlocking your potential. It is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more fully, more authentically yourself, free from the layers of conditioning that have obscured your true nature. This is the education that matters most. Daily practice. Understanding a concept intellectually is one thing. Embodying it is another entirely. We can all agree that self-education is important, but this agreement alone changes nothing. It is like looking at a map of a beautiful mountain. You can study the map in great detail. You can know all the trails, the elevations, the best spots for a view, but you will never experience the mountain. You will not feel the crisp air in your lungs or the solid ground beneath your feet. To experience the mountain, you must walk the path. Knowledge becomes wisdom only through practice, through consistent, dedicated action. The journey of self-education is not a sprint, it is a daily pilgrimage. It is a discipline. Consider the craft of a master swordsmith. He does not create a perfect blade in a single day of furious effort. He begins with raw, unrefined steel. Every day, he shows up at the forge. He heats the metal, hammers it, folds it, quenches it, again and again. Each strike of the hammer may seem insignificant on its own. If you were to watch for only a minute, you might think nothing is changing. But the smith knows that each blow, each fold, each pass over the grinding stone is essential. It is the accumulation of these thousands of small, consistent actions that transforms the brittle iron into a blade that is both incredibly strong and flexible. The quality of the final blade is a direct reflection of the quality and consistency of the process. Our minds and our character are the raw steel. The daily practice of self-education is the hammer and the forge. What does this practice look like? It doesn't need to be monumental. You do not need to quit your job and retreat to a monastery. The most powerful practices are often the simplest, the ones we can integrate into the life we already have. Perhaps it is dedicating just 15 minutes every morning to reading a book that challenges your perspective. Not for entertainment, but for growth. Perhaps it is another 15 minutes in the evening for quiet reflection with a journal, asking yourself, what did I learn today? Not just about the world, but about myself. When did I act out of habit, and when did I act with intention? This daily appointment with yourself is sacred. It is non-negotiable. The mind will create endless excuses. It will tell you that you are too tired, too busy, that you can do it tomorrow. This is the voice of resistance, the part of us that prefers the comfort of the known, even if the known is a state of dissatisfaction. The discipline is to gently acknowledge this voice and then proceed with your practice anyway. It is in this small act of choosing intention over impulse that you begin to forge the steel. You are training the will. You are demonstrating to yourself that your growth is a priority. Over time, this practice creates a powerful compounding effect. The insights from one day build upon the last. Your ability to focus deepens. Your self-awareness sharpens. You begin to see patterns in your own behavior that were previously invisible. It is like tending a garden. A single day of watering and weeding might not seem to produce a dramatic result, but if you do it every day, consistently, the garden will flourish. If you neglect it, weeds will quickly take over. Your inner world is this garden. The daily practice of self-education is the act of tending it with care and attention. It is through this patient, persistent effort that you cultivate the inner qualities, clarity, resilience, and wisdom that allow your true potential to blossom. Mindful consumption. In our modern age, we are not starving for information. We are drowning in it. We have access to more data, more opinions, more content than any generation in history, all available at the touch of a screen. But this abundance has created a new kind of poverty, a poverty of attention. Our focus has become the most valuable and most endangered resource we possess. If true education is about cultivating wisdom, then we must become deeply conscious, not only of what we consume, but how we consume it. The quality of our inner world is a direct reflection of the quality of our mental diet. Imagine you are trying to build a strong, healthy body. Would you simply open your mouth and allow anyone to throw whatever food they wanted into it all day long? Fast food, candy, processed snacks, an endless stream of low-quality input? Of course not. You would become sick, weak, and unwell. You understand that the body is a system, and the inputs you provide directly affect its functioning. The mind is no different. Yet this is precisely how many of us treat our minds. We scroll endlessly through social media feeds. We jump from one sensational headline to another. We absorb a constant barrage of unfiltered opinions, advertisements, and distractions. This is not education, it is mental pollution. This constant low-grade stimulation trains the mind for distraction. It weakens our ability to engage in the deep, focused thought that is necessary for genuine learning and insight. The mind becomes like a restless monkey, jumping from branch to branch, never staying in one place long enough to actually see anything clearly. It craves the next hit of dopamine, the next notification, the next bit of novel information. In this state, it is impossible to turn information into knowledge, let alone into wisdom. The information simply passes through us, leaving a residue of anxiety and mental clutter, but no real nourishment. Mindful consumption, therefore, is the practice of becoming a gatekeeper for your own mind. It is a conscious and intentional act. It means choosing your sources with care. It means asking, is this input nourishing me? Is it helping me grow? Or is it simply making me more agitated, more fearful, more distracted? It means creating space for silence and stillness so that what you have consumed has a chance to be digested. A great book read deeply and reflected upon for an hour is infinitely more valuable than 100 articles skimmed while multitasking. The goal is not to consume more, but to understand more deeply. This requires creating deliberate boundaries. It might mean scheduling specific times for checking emails or news rather than letting them interrupt your day constantly. It might mean curating your social media feeds to follow sources that inspire and educate you and removing those that drain your energy. It might mean choosing to read a physical book instead of reading on a screen filled with tempting hyperlinks. Most importantly, it means embracing moments of doing nothing, of simply sitting, breathing, and allowing the mind to settle. It is in this quiet space that the most profound connections are made. It is here that the noise of the world fades and the quiet voice of your own inner wisdom can finally be heard. To educate yourself, you must first create the inner conditions for learning to occur. You must protect your focus as if it were your most precious possession, because it is. Overcoming resistance. The path of self-education is a noble one, but it is not without its obstacles, and the greatest obstacles are not external. They are not the lack of time or resources. The greatest obstacles are internal. They are the forces of resistance that arise from within our own minds. This resistance can take many forms. It can be the heavy feeling of lethargy when you think about opening a challenging book. It can be the insistent voice of procrastination that says, "I'll start tomorrow." It can be the feeling of being overwhelmed, the belief that the journey is too long and your progress is too slow. To walk this path successfully, we must learn to understand and work with this resistance, not fight against it. This internal resistance is a natural function of the mind. The mind is, in many ways, an energy conservation device. It seeks comfort, familiarity, and the path of least effort. It creates established neural pathways, habits of thought and behavior, and it prefers to stay on these well-worn roads. The act of learning, of challenging our own beliefs, of building new disciplines, requires creating new paths. This takes energy. It feels uncomfortable at first. The resistance you feel is simply the mind's pull, back toward the familiar, the automatic. It is not a sign that you are weak or incapable. It is a sign that you are attempting to grow. Imagine you are trying to train a wild horse. If you approach it with aggression, with force, trying to break its will, what will happen? The horse will become frightened. It will fight back, it will buck and resist with all its might. You will exhaust yourself and you will destroy any chance of building a relationship of trust. A skillful trainer understands this. They approach the horse with patience, with gentleness, with respect. They do not try to conquer it in one day. They spend time with it, letting it get used to their presence. They offer a gentle hand. They take one small step at a time. They build trust through consistency and kindness. Your mind, especially the part of it that resists, is this wild horse. You cannot defeat it in a head-on battle. If you try to force yourself to study for 3 hours through sheer willpower, you may succeed once, but you will be so exhausted and resentful that you won't want to do it again. The key is to approach your own resistance with the same skill and compassion as the horse trainer. Acknowledge the feeling. When the voice says, "I'm too tired," you can say, "I understand you feel tired. It's okay. We are just going to read for 5 minutes. Just 5. This technique of starting small is incredibly powerful. The mind's resistance is greatest when it perceives a task as large and daunting. But almost anyone can convince themselves to do something for just 5 minutes. The secret is that starting is the hardest part. Once you begin, once you have overcome that initial inertia, momentum begins to build. Often, you will find that after 5 minutes, you are willing to continue for 10, then 15. You are gently guiding the mind, not forcing it. You are building a new habit, a new relationship with yourself, one based on encouragement rather than criticism. See your resistance not as an enemy to be vanquished, but as a part of yourself that is afraid of change. Meet it with understanding and gently, patiently guide it onto the new path. This is how sustainable change is made. Body wisdom. In our culture, we often treat the mind and the body as two separate, disconnected entities. We see education as a purely mental activity, something that happens from the neck up. The body is treated as little more than a vehicle to carry the brain from one place to another. This is a profound mistake. The mind and body are not separate. They are two aspects of a single unified system. To ignore the body in our quest for self-education is to ignore one of the most powerful sources of wisdom and stability we possess. True potential is unlocked only when the mind and body are brought into harmony. Think of it this way. Can you do your best thinking when you are sick, exhausted, or in pain? It is difficult, if not impossible. The state of the body directly influences the state of the mind. A body that is tense, agitated, and filled with stress will create a mind that is scattered, anxious, and unable to focus. Conversely, a body that is calm, stable, and grounded provides a solid foundation upon which a clear and tranquil mind can rest. The physical practices that cultivate this stability, whether it is martial arts, yoga, simple stretching, or even just mindful walking, are not separate from your mental education. They are an essential part of it. They prepare the very vessel that holds your consciousness. Furthermore, the body has its own form of intelligence, its own way of learning. We call this muscle memory or proprioception. A musician does not think about the precise location of every finger for every note. The body knows. A craftsman does not consciously calculate every angle of his tool. The body knows. This is embodied wisdom. It is a form of knowing that goes deeper than intellectual concepts. It is integrated, automatic, and effortless. We can cultivate this same embodied wisdom in our daily lives. How you hold your body when you sit, how you walk, how you breathe, these are not trivial matters. They are constantly sending signals to your nervous system, shaping your mental and emotional state. Learning to listen to the body is a crucial skill in self-education. The body is a source of direct, honest feedback. Your intellect can deceive you, it can rationalize and create stories. But the tightness in your shoulders, the knot in your stomach, the shallowness of your breath, these do not lie. They are signals from your inner world, telling you that something is out of balance. When you feel resistance or anxiety, instead of just staying in your head, try bringing your awareness into your body. Where do you feel this sensation? Can you breathe into that area? Can you soften it? This practice of tuning into the body's wisdom can ground you in the present moment and provide clarity that thinking alone cannot. Therefore, integrate the body into your daily practice of learning. Before you sit down to read or reflect, take a few moments to stretch, to pay attention to your posture, to take a few deep, conscious breaths. Let the physical container become settled and calm. You will find that your ability to concentrate improves dramatically. See your physical training not as a chore, but as a form of meditation in motion. It is a way of training focus, discipline, and resilience that will translate directly into your mental pursuits. When you educate the whole person, mind and body together, you create a synergy. The strength and stability of the body support the clarity of the mind, and the clarity of the mind guides the body toward greater health and harmony. This integration is the key to a truly holistic and powerful form of self-development. Unlocking potential. We speak often of this idea of unlocking our true potential. It is a phrase that carries a great deal of weight and promise. But what do we actually mean by it? For many, the image that comes to mind is one of external achievement. Unlocking potential means becoming more successful, wealthier, more famous, more skilled than others. It is seen as a process of becoming bigger, better, and more powerful in the eyes of the world. This is a very limited and ultimately unsatisfying view. While self-education can certainly lead to greater competence and external success, that is a byproduct, not the primary goal. The true potential we are seeking to unlock is something internal. Imagine your true nature is like a brilliant, clear light, a source of innate peace, clarity, and compassion. From the moment we are born, life begins to place layers over this light. We are covered by the layers of our conditioning, the beliefs our parents and society gave us. We are covered by the layers of our fears, our insecurities, our past traumas. We are covered by the layer of the ego, the constructed identity that says, I am this, I am not that. Over the years, these layers become so thick that we forget the light is even there. We identify with the layers. We believe we are our fears. We are our conditioning. We are our ego. We feel dim, confused, and incomplete because the light is obscured. Unlocking your potential from this perspective is not about adding another layer, a layer of success or power. It is the exact opposite. It is the courageous and patient process of removing the layers that are not you. Each act of self-observation, each moment of insight, each time you choose a conscious response over an automatic reaction, you are peeling back a layer. You are cleaning the lens. The goal is not to become a different person, but to become the person you truly are, beneath all the noise and conditioning. Your potential is not something you need to build. It is something you need to uncover. It is already there. This changes the entire orientation of the journey. It is no longer a frantic striving to achieve something you lack. It becomes a gentle and compassionate process of returning to your own center. The motivation shifts from fear, the fear of not being good enough, to love, a loving desire to free yourself from your own self-imposed limitations. You realize that your potential is not measured by what you have, but by the quality of your being. It is measured by your capacity for stillness in the midst of chaos, your ability to act with compassion, your resilience in the face of adversity, and the clarity with which you see yourself and the world. This potential is infinite. It is not a final destination you arrive at. There is no point where you can say, I have now unlocked all of my potential. It is a continuous unfolding. As you peel back one layer, you gain the clarity and strength to see and remove the next one. The light shines a little brighter. Your life becomes a living expression of this unfolding clarity. This is the most profound work a human being can undertake. It is the journey from a life of reaction to a life of creation, from a life of confusion to a life of purpose. Your true potential is to be a clear vessel for this inner light, allowing it to shine through you and into the world. The final insight. We have journeyed through the redefinition of education, the necessity of daily practice, the art of mindful consumption, the skill of overcoming resistance, and the wisdom held within the body. We have seen that unlocking our potential is not about adding more, but about uncovering what is already there. All of these are crucial steps on the path, but there is one final unifying principle that gives power to all the others. It is the insight that I promised at the beginning, the key that turns the lock. The most powerful form of education, the ultimate act of unlocking your potential, lies in the practice of unlearning. Throughout our lives, we are focused on learning. We learn facts, skills, and social norms, but we rarely question what we have already learned. We carry around a heavy bag filled with beliefs, assumptions, and identities that we picked up along the way, often unconsciously. We believe, I am not a creative person. I am not disciplined. I need this to be happy. This is how the world works. We treat these learned ideas as absolute truths, but they are not. They are simply stories. And these stories create the walls of the prison in which we live. They are the thickest layers covering our inner light. True freedom comes not from learning a new fact, but from the courage to unlearn a limiting belief. The process of unlearning is an act of deep introspection. It is looking at your most cherished beliefs about yourself and the world and asking, is this really true? Where did I learn this? Does this belief serve me or does it limit me? This can be uncomfortable because our identity is often deeply entwined with these beliefs. To question them can feel like questioning our very self, but the self you are defending is the constructed ego, not your true nature. Unlearning is the process of letting go of the definitions that keep you small. It is emptying your cup. We often cling to our knowledge, our opinions, and our certainties, but it is this very fullness that prevents anything new from entering. Only an empty cup can be filled. Only a mind that is willing to be a beginner again can experience true insight. This is the ultimate daily practice. With each interaction, with each challenge, you can ask, what assumption am I operating from right now? What old story is playing out? This is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process of letting go. You unlearn the need for external validation when you find your worth within. You unlearn the fear of failure when you see every experience as a lesson. You unlearn the habit of blaming others when you take full responsibility for your inner state. Each act of unlearning creates space. It creates freedom. It allows your true, unfiltered intelligence, the wisdom of your own being, to emerge and guide your actions. So, the final insight is this. Your quest for education is not complete until it becomes a quest for liberation. And liberation is found not in what you accumulate, but in what you are willing to release. Look inward with honesty. What are you carrying that is no longer yours to carry? What beliefs have you outgrown? Have the courage to set them down. This is the path of subtraction, the path of simplification, the path to your most authentic and powerful self. The true purpose of educating yourself every day is to learn, yes, but more importantly, it is to unlearn your way back to the boundless, radiant potential that has been waiting within you all along. For years, I've been trying to add more to my life, more habits, more knowledge, more goals, thinking that's how I'd find fulfillment. This completely shifted my perspective. The idea that true growth comes from unlearning and subtracting the things that limit me is profound. It's not about becoming someone new, but uncovering who I've been all along. Thank you. This is the start of a new journey for me.